G'day and welcome to the Choosing Your Uni Virtual Expo. I'm your MC, Rob Malicki, and welcome to today's session on Curtin University. We're going to be getting started in just a moment, but firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that I'm today on Gadigal land in Sydney, part of the Eora Nation. I respectfully acknowledge traditional custodians. And before I get started, I want to let you know what's coming up in the next 20 minutes. Firstly, hello to those of you who are tuning in live. Thank you for joining us live. You can drop your questions in the chat down below, regardless of what platform you're on: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube. Love to see you there. And if you're watching this on the recordings, make sure you ask your questions on the chat in Discord. So we have a Choosing Your Uni Discord, which is available. And if you're a parent watching the recording, you can also jump in the parent group and ask your questions. We will get back to all of your questions. What's Curtin University known for? Well, I'm going to be telling you all about that in this session. What else are we going to be talking about? Well, we're going to address who would be well suited to studying at Curtin University. We're going to hear from some students who actually have studied there. We're obviously going to be talking about academic strengths, and I'm going to be taking you into the hard data. That's the data from the Australian government's quality indicators of learning and teaching research, so you can really understand everything about things like student satisfaction, employment, salaries, rankings, and the like. And to be honest, I'll be very straight with you. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of what it actually means for you. We're also going to be taking some questions if we have time to do so. And at the end, I'm going to also tell you about the institutions that I think you should be comparing Curtin against to help you build your shortlist. So once again, if you're live, drop your questions in the chat and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. If we don't get them to in this session, we will put them in the Choosing Your Uni Discord, which is your place to get, whether it's your personal questions answered or some general questions, drop them either in that Discord group or in Facebook and we will address them with you. Okay, before we get started, this whole event is made possible thanks to Southern Cross University, who are our presenting partner. So a quick word from them and then we're going to get right into the session. Back in just a moment. Go. All right, here is a number that should make you pay attention to Curtin University. The institution scores 89.7% for employer satisfaction. It's the highest of any university in Australia. It's not in the top 5, it's not number 3, it is number 1. And what that means is that the people doing the hiring for jobs rate Curtin graduates more highly than graduates from any other university in the country. So, who is Curtin University actually for? Well, it's probably not for you if you want that sandstone university experience that's been around for 150 years, that has a really sort of traditional feel to it. But Curtin still has some history behind it. It started as a technical school back in 1900, and it still thinks like a technical institution. It's practical, it's applied, it's built around doing things, not just about studying them. Probably not for you if you want to be in the middle of a city. The main campus is in Bentley, which is about 15 minutes east of Perth. So it's suburban, it's got lots of space, but it's not that sort of inner city, laneway, coffee, tram kind of experience if you're looking for something like that. But if you want a degree that's designed with your future employer sitting at the table, if you want to be in a city that's affordable, that's growing fast, and that's connected to some of the biggest industries on the planet, then stick around, because Curtin University could well be for you. So before I give you my take, let's hear from someone who's actually studied there. You can explore all the sessions, including our keynotes, at expo.choosingyouruni.com. The link's in the description down below. But let's hear from an actual student to begin with. What's been the highlight for you so far?
The best thing what I liked so far is definitely food.
Yeah.
The people, the weather, everything has been great. The staff is really helpful, and you've got a lot of materials and a lot of workshops and stuff like that, which are really helpful when it comes to the academic performance.
Yeah.
So they are really helpful with that.
So that's one perspective, and I've got plenty more to share with you. And if you've got questions about Curtin or about the uni in general, drop them in the chat and I'll do my best to get to them. But here are 3 things I think really define Curtin University. The first, the mining and resources connection is genuinely extraordinary. Curtin is ranked 5th in the entire world for mineral and mining engineering. That's 5th in the whole world, on the planet. That's not some obscure metric, it's from QS's subject ranking. And of course, Western Australia is where a huge proportion of Australia's mining and resources wealth comes from, and Curtin is the university that feeds that industry. It has deep, long-standing partnerships with companies like Rio Tinto, with BHP, Woodside, and Chevron. So if you're interested in engineering, geoscience, energy, or anything in that resources space, Curtin isn't just a good option, it's arguably one of the best options in the entire country. And I would literally move from somewhere else in Australia to Perth just to go to Curtin for that. Second, Curtin is built around applied learning. This is a university that came from technical education as a tradition, and that DNA runs through everything. Work integrated learning, which means real things like placements, internships, work experiences that you do as part of your degree, are embedded across engineering, business, and health programs. This isn't just an add-on, it's actually part of the model. And every degree is designed with an eye on what you'll actually be doing after you graduate. Now, if you're thinking about how degrees connect through to careers, there's a great session from Kelly called Get Clear About Your Career, and that's going to help you understand how you can make those decisions about your career moves. It's on the program, check it out in the session description below, really worth watching. Now third, Curtin is genuinely global in a way that most Australian universities aren't. It has full campuses in Malaysia, in Singapore, and in Mauritius, and Dubai as well. And these aren't just partnership arrangements, but they're actual Curtin University campuses, which means you can start your degree in Perth, you can transfer to another campus for a semester or longer, and you can complete the entire degree in that model. That's a different kind of mobility than a standard exchange program. We've got a whole session on exchange programs, which you really should attend because I'm a huge advocate for having an international study experience as part of your degree. So let's talk about Perth itself, because cities actually matter. And Perth, as you're no doubt aware, is one of the most isolated cities in the entire world. And for some people, they feel like that's a big disadvantage. It scares some people away. I get that question on my YouTube channel all the time. However, let's look at what that actually means. It means a lower cost of living than places like Sydney and Melbourne. It means less competition for part-time work. It means a lifestyle that genuinely prioritises being outdoors, and an economy that's powered by resources, defence, and increasingly by space and technology as well. If you're studying in those fields, being in Perth isn't a compromise. It's actually a strategic advantage. Now, I'll be very honest, Perth is one of my favourite student cities in all of Australia, along with Brisbane. If you're an international student thinking of studying in Australia, I would absolutely look at Perth. I would not be swayed by the fact that it's far from the eastern states, because it's not like you're going to be going there on the weekends to travel anyway. If you are going to be doing some travelling, you're going to be doing it during your semester breaks, and that distance becomes less of an issue. So I think Perth is definitely worth a look. Now, let's get into some of the academic details, because Curtin has some real standout areas that go well beyond mining. Let's start with the obvious, and talking about mining, it is the West Australian School of Mines, which sits within Curtin's Faculty of Science and Engineering. It's one of the most respecting mining and mineral schools globally, and as we've said, it ranks 5th in the world. It's not a fluke. It reflects literally decades of integration with industry, research, heavy investment, and a focus on graduate outcomes. So as we've said, if you want to work in resources or something peripheral to that, a Curtin mining degree will open doors, hands down. Curtin Science and Engineering does go further than that. It has major research infrastructure in space and astronomy. It has the International Centre for Radio Astronomy Research, known as ICRAR, I-C-R-A-R, and it's a joint venture between Curtin and the University of Western Australia. It's involved in what's called the Square Kilometre Array, one of the biggest science projects on the planet, which is building the world's largest radio telescope, happening right here in Western Australia, except I'm not here in Western Australia as I'm filming this, but you get the idea. So basically, if space and astronomy interest you, we've actually got a great session with Maddie Massey, who's a science communicator, talking about the power of science for your career and for life. And it's a great companion session to this one, which is really worth checking in for. Now, beyond space and resources, Curtin operates over 100 centres and institutes of research. It's in Australia's top 10 for total research income. That's quite impressive for an institution that's not in the group of 8. It's very, very high in terms of that in terms of that total research income. It means it's winning a lot of grants. Research strengths span health, innovation, cybersecurity, defence technology, renewable energy, and of course critical minerals, which are the materials needed for things like batteries and solar panels. The Faculty of Health at Curtin is another strong point, and it offers programs across all of the areas that you would expect, things like nursing and physiotherapy, pharmacy, public health, and all of these have clinical placements that are woven into the degree from early on. The Health Innovation Research Institute has expanded with new facilities in recent years, and there's a real pipeline from study to employment in West Australia's health system. Now, if you're interested in health and education pathways, there are some comparable degrees around Australia that are really worth a look. I think ACU has got fantastic, Australian Catholic Uni has got some excellent degrees in health and education, so I would check out those sessions. And the University of Notre Dame as well, I reckon, is worth a look. So you can check out that session as well. And Notre Dame has a campus in Fremantle. Let's move on and let's talk about the Faculty of Business and Law, which brings a practical and industry-engaged approach, as well as the Faculty of Humanities, which covers media, creative arts, and social inquiry. Curtin's creative arts programs include dedicated studios, performance spaces, and digital labs. If you're interested in those degrees, I'd actually also consider Edith Cowan University with its brand new city campus, which has got just remarkable facilities. Let's talk about size for a moment, because Curtin is huge. 65,000 students, that's 47,000 undergraduate students and 18,000 postgraduates. It's not a small campus. And roughly 22% of its students are international, drawn from all over the world. I love international students in our classrooms. It brings diversity, it brings new thinking, it brings different approaches to learning and the ways of doing things. Having those students in the mix is genuinely part of daily life. It's not something that you only see at orientation week at Curtin. And that's a great thing because it brings you into the real world. In the real world, We collaborate with people from across cultures, across countries, across backgrounds. You need international students in the classroom to really create an enriching experience. The main Bentley campus of Curtin has had some serious investment. Seriously, it's one of the universities that for me has changed the most in the couple of decades since I first went there. Back in the early 2000s, I was kind of like, oh, this place is a little bit drab. And then when I came back about 10 years later, it had completely transformed. Beautiful murals on the walls and everywhere. The library has had a state-of-the-art renovation. And then there's the Innovation Central Perth, a technology hub that's partnered with Cisco. It's also got the Curtin Exchange Precinct, which is a newer mixed-use development, which integrates accommodation, retail, and learning spaces into the Bentley campus. Last time I was at Curtin, I stayed in that exchange precinct, and it was awesome. I was able to come back from meetings elsewhere in the city at 9 p.m. and still get a meal from a restaurant, like from a fast food place, right on campus. It was buzzing day and night, and that's what I believe universities should be and should be doing. Now, before we move on, a quick reminder that you can explore all the sessions, including our keynotes, by going to the sessions page for the Virtual Expo. You'll find the details down below, and you'll also find it just by going to expo.choosingyouruni.com/sessions. Let's hear from another student who's experienced Curtin firsthand. Tell me, what do you like about studying at Curtin?
Personally, I guess it's just the fact that you can choose whichever units you want. Like, even though I'm doing creative writing and screen arts,
Nice.
There's a lot of units you can choose. You don't have to follow a very set schedule.
Nice.
And if you really want, you can go like more experimental style, or if you want to stick to the more production based.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a bit you can do just under one degree.
Awesome. Cool. What about you, Sarah?
Firstly, the huge variety. So they let you pretty much study anything you want. I'm actually doing accounting and screen arts.
That's super cool.
Yeah, then you can do that as a double major. They really don't care what combination you want to do.
All right, now let me show you how Curtin stacks up on the national data. And once again, this comes from the Australian government's Quality Indicators of Learning and Teaching, or for Learning and Teaching student survey. And it gives you all of the inside information, the actual knowledge about what students say and where they end up as a part of a degree, not only from Curtin, but from every university. You heard me talk about the employer satisfaction from Curtin being the highest in the country, but the full picture is more nuanced than that single headline number. Curtin's student satisfaction, graduate salaries, and global ranking positions all tell a story, and it's not necessarily the one that you would expect from a university based in Perth. The numbers that are coming up, and a couple of these are genuinely surprising to me, so I'm really looking forward to sharing them with you. Right, let's start with student satisfaction, which is 77.4%, and that puts Curtin roughly middle of the pack nationally. It's not bad, but it's not amazing either. For a university of nearly 65,000 students, maintaining satisfaction at that level is pretty decent. But there are smaller universities that score higher simply because they offer a more personalised service attention to students. Honestly, it's a trade-off for going to a large institution. You do need to be more proactive, and you need to be on the lookout for those opportunities yourself rather than having them handed to you as you may do at a smaller institution. Teaching and teaching quality follows a similar pattern. Curtin performs solidly, but doesn't lead the nation here. What it does do well is connect teaching to industry, and that practical focus shows up more in employment data than it does in the student satisfaction surveys. Now, we talked just before about graduate employment data, and at 80.9% of students being employed within 4 months of completing their degree, that's above the national average, and it's competitive with many of Australia's most prestigious universities. And remember that employer satisfaction figure, almost 90%, which is the highest in the country. Employers don't just hire Curtin graduates. they rate them highly when they're on the job. And that's critical for a good career. Let's talk about graduate starting salaries. At $75,000, that is strong and it's well above the national median. It's partly driven by the industry mix in Perth, the fact that resources, engineering and health all tend to pay really well, but it also reflects how tightly Curtin's degrees are connected to employer needs. Let's have a look for a moment at the global rankings. And here we'll start off with the QS global ranking, and that puts Curtin at 183rd in the world, 12th in Australia, which is a very good result. The Times Higher Ed ranking survey places it in the 250 to 300 band, which is roughly equal to 14th nationally. These are solid positions. It's not a group of 8 university, a group of 8 being like the coalition of Australia's most prestigious and research intensive institutions, but it is comfortably in the next tier. And honestly, for a student choosing between Curtin and some of the group of 8 universities, that graduate salary and employer satisfaction data should weigh heavily. Once again, I think rankings are less important than most people think. I think it's more about what you want to study and everything that aligns with you as to which institution will suit you best. And you can explore those on the Choosing Your Uni platform. The whole platform is there, it's free, it's independent, and it's configured to help you figure out what's right for you based on your interests, your preferences, and your goals. All right, let's talk about comparing Curtin with other institutions. And like all institutions, you shouldn't just look at this in isolation. Now, of course, the most obvious comparison institution for Curtin is the University of Western Australia. Western Australia's one of the major institutions that's available, and it is a group of 8 member, meaning that it does rank significantly higher globally. It's 77th in the world on some of the recent rankings. But here's the thing. Curtin's median graduate salary is $75,000 versus $67,300 for UWA. And Curtin's graduate employment rate is 81%, give or take, versus UWA's 69%. UWA has more prestige on paper. Curtin produces stronger employment outcomes in the data. That's like a genuine tension, and it's worth sitting with and thinking about. You really should look at the UWA session in order to compare these two institutions. And it's not as simple as just that, right? It all depends on what you want to study and why. If you want to do things like in the humanities and a whole bunch of other areas that UWA perhaps excels at, but maybe starting salaries are lower, these things influence rankings. And it's why I say you really need to think about what you're actually comparing. Now, of course, there are other excellent institutions in Perth that I'm sure you'll look at. Things like Edith Cowan University have got some real comparison points with Curtin, as does Murdoch. And I did mention Notre Dame just before. But let's look a little bit further afield for comparable institutions. When it comes to that really sort of practical, industry-focused learning, of course, Curtin University is more of a suburban experience. But if you're looking for a technology-based institution in the heart of the city, you've actually got a number of good options. You've got RMIT in Melbourne, you've got UTS in Sydney, and you've got Queensland University of Technology in Brisbane. All 3 institutions in the heart of their cities. All of them have some real areas of expertise and strength, and are definitely worth a look if you're looking for that industry integrated education, but with a different kind of lifestyle. Of course, the eastern capital cities are far more expensive. That's once again where Perth really shines as a destination for students. All right, in terms of other comparison points, there are other institutions that I would certainly look at around Australia, including some of Australia's really good regional institutions. Things like University of Southern Queensland, or Southern Cross University, institutions where you're going to find specific subject areas, but also outcomes that in terms of employment and starting salaries are comparable to Curtin University. You can compare all of those on the Choosing Your Uni platform, as we've already talked about. It's free to join, choosingyouruni.com. Make sure you check that out. Now, we have a whole bunch of other sessions coming up today, and so I'm going to wrap up this session now. I don't have enough time to get to questions. However, if you're interested in having your personal questions answered, jump on the Discord. The community is there to support you, and we will answer literally every question, no matter how detailed, how specific. You will get a personal response. And if you're a parent, the Choosing Your Uni Facebook group, links down below, will also be able to answer everything that you may wish to ask. This has been great chatting with you about Curtin University, an excellent institution that's really going places. Actually, you know what? I love saying unis are either heading in one direction, they're either kind of like flatlining or even maybe declining a little bit, or they're on the rise. To me, Curtin University is one of those institutions that's on the rise and is definitely worth a look. Thanks for joining me in today's session, and I'll see you later on in the Expo. I'm Rob Malicki. Have a great day. Well, I hope you got something out of this session, and if you have any questions at all, you can head to choosingyouruni.com and ask Lumen. Lumen is your AI guide who knows about every university, every pathway, every option that we've talked about throughout this virtual expo, and Lumen is available to talk to you 24/7, so it's ready when you are.